So, Stefan, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time in these busy days. And
yeah, of course, I'm happy.
Good to see you. And I would actually want to start with the question: what is actually a Kolfok? Because that's the name of your winery, but that has a very particular meaning in Burgenland, right?
Yes. So Kolfok, it comes from a local dialect. My grandpa used to call me Kolfok when I don't go to church or when I'm not in the way acting people wanted to act like that. So
like
it's
an underdog,
kind of a rebel. It's someone with who is outside the mainstream. Yes. And I thought that's a cool name for the winery because in some cases or in many cases the wines are like that.
Well, I agree. And why are your wines like that? So why is it really a good name for this?
I mean, the wines I produce, I just want to show how different it can be. Not only the whites, also the reds. You know, like 30 years ago, we were 50-50 red and white. White was, there was a wide range of different varieties. For the reds, it was always Blaufränkisch. And the whites, they were varieties like Veltliner, Welschriesling, Weißburgunder, also for mint. And I think it's pretty sad that such wide tradition in our region got completely lost. And I just want to show how the Grüne Veltliner in Burgenland, in this special kind of region, tastes completely different to, let's say, the usual style of Grüne Veltliner, from Austria. And also the same with Welschriesling. I mean, we definitely know the style of Welschriesling, which is common, but I just want to show that Welschriesling can be completely different, and with such special conditions, you definitely find a way wider range of Welschriesling, of aromas in this variety. Yes, and also Weißburgunder, which is one of the oldest vineyards I have. A lot of people are concentrating on a Chardonnay, but I think Weißburgunder Pinot Blanc is more neutral. That's why it can show better the soil and more freshness, more minerality in the wines. And
Well, super. So, we're definitely going to talk about the wines, but maybe just because maybe not every listeners know this special terroir what you have in Mittelburgenland, because you are placed or you're based in around Neckenmarkt, right?
Yes.
So and that's one of the four major villages, right? In Mittelburgenland. And could you maybe describe the grape growing conditions there, or the climate and also the main soil?
Yeah. So first of all, Neckenmarkt was always the main village in Mittelburgenland. I have a map from the 19th century where Neckenmarkt was shown as the biggest wine growing area in the whole region. And Neckenmarkt was always one of the biggest wine growing villages of all Burgenland. So the south slopes of Neckenmarkt have a very long tradition, a very long history. It goes back to the middle century. And why is Neckenmarkt so special? And I think there's a short but very efficient answer for that. Neckenmarkt is in a part in this special area where you're open to the Hungarian flatland, to the Pannonian Puszta, so you get the warm climate from there. But on the west side, you have the influence of the Alps, so you have alpine soil. And this combination makes it really, really special. Because commonly, if you talk about Mittelburgenland, you talk about heavy loam or heavy clay soils. Neckenmarkt is different. We go up pretty high for our conditions, up to 500 meters above sea level. And that's why we have in these higher areas schist, slate, gneiss, also chalk, and limestone, of course. And just in the lower parts, between 250 meters, the loam or heavy clay soil comes through. And just what I said, I mean, we have up to 7 different type of soils. That's really unique. I mean, on which village in all the wine growing areas you find such a high diversity. It's unique and very special, and that's why I'm really excited about this whole village, and that's why I'm really happy to work here. I mean, yeah, I was born here, and it's pretty funny and pretty fascinating to work with such conditions.
Mm-hmm. And in Mittelburgenland, let's say, compared to the Lake Neusiedl, how are the climatic conditions? So do you have maybe like more daily temperature differences than in around the lake, for example?
Yes. So we got a lot of winds coming from the west side. Those winds are pretty good, especially if you work organic. It's against disease. It dries the humidity from the morning pretty good. And we're definitely much colder than around the Lake Neusiedl. And definitely not as cold as as in southern Burgenland, but Mittelburgenland. So we're really in the middle, and it's very balanced.
That's what I also always find in the wines from Mittelburgenland. I unfortunately didn't have the great fortune yet to try yours, but because like from the little bit northern slopes, so like around Neusiedl or Leitergebirge or this kind of terroirs, they often go to the overripe sides, so to say, and the acidity is a bit lower. It doesn't have that much minerality, such refreshment on the palate. But in the Mittelburgenland, and especially actually in Eisenberg, so more southern side, these are really lively, bright red wines, but still ripe. So, and I think Blaufränkisch is the perfect, or one of the perfect grapes to reflect that, I think. And also Mittelburgenland is called also Blaufränkisch land, so the land of Blaufränkisch. So is it also reflected in your vineyard, or because you have a lot of Blaufränkisch, I guess that.
Yes. So I mean, Blaufränkisch is a great variety for a slow development, also in the vineyards. Like our last harvest day was on the 9th of October this year. And I think around the Lake Neusiedlsee, they most of them finished around the 25th of September. So almost 2 weeks before we finish. And I think Blaufränkisch just needs the time to get the very slow ripening. And more than 50% of my vineyards are also planted with Blaufränkisch. But as I said, on the one hand, I want to show Blaufränkisch, especially the fine, the very minerality Blaufränkisch. But on the other side, I also want to show that white wines are also very strong in character here.
And what is the history maybe of other varieties here in the region? So, for example, white wines, what you already mentioned.
So, in the 19th century, most of the vineyards were just mixed ones, like field plants. A lot of Hungarian varieties like Haslevelu and Furmint were in. But I think Welschriesling, Welschriesling was always there. And just when Burgenland came to Austria 99 years ago, they also started to plant Grüne Veltliner and other varieties because they got a new market, of course, the Austrian market. And that's why one of the oldest Grüne Veltliner I still have are from the 50s. And Neckenmarkt was always 50-50 because of the soil types. And on the one hand, I said we have south slopes, but the south slopes always have a backside, of course, the north slopes. I think especially such sites are very interesting for the white wine production. But also in those days for Blaufränkisch, because we really have to care about that we're not getting too much sun on the south slopes, especially if you have a schist or gneiss there, which is reflecting the sun. It can get really warm, and my single vineyard Bodigraben is a good example for that, because it's a combination of south and north side. Mm-hmm. And also in the village wine, the Neckenmarkt, I work with different sides to get the perfect combination and getting not too warm.
Wow, it sounds like a big task to the assemblage in your vineyard.
Yes,
and you have so many altitudes and also soil types and reflections, and also in the wines later. But how many hectares do you have right now?
I have about 5 hectares and 3 hectares more for with young vines. Mm-hmm. 1 hectare will be planted next year.
What are you planting, if I may ask?
The new plantings. Mm-hmm. The new plantings are Grüne Veltliner,
okay,
Blaufränkisch, and also Furmint. Yes. So we will have a comeback from the of the Furmint.
Oh, nice. And how does Furmint like this region or these climatic conditions? Because I'm sure that you also tried other producers Furmint, and also you have some experience.
Yes, so ferment is it's hard work, and the new wines, also Blaufränkisch and also Cru Veltliner I planted, they were all planted double wine, so 2 wines on one place. That's why I have a very high density of wines per hectare, up to 10,000 per hectare.
Oh.
And those 2 wines are they compete each other, and that's how I regulate the growing. And especially ferment is growing very, very well, also on poor soil. And I have to ferment on gneiss soil right now, which is perfect, and it's 100% south side. And yeah, it's still very late. So last year, which was the first vintage, I harvested the ferment on the 1st of October. So with the last Blaufränkisch, I also harvested ferment. And you remember last year was very warm.
Yeah.
And I mean, Cru Veltliner and Weißburgunder I harvested 2 or 3 weeks before. So
yeah,
completely.
Yeah, it's almost like a Riesling then, or something similar.
Yes,
then,
definitely.
Right?
And I think you might can compare it. I mean the ferment I just bottled yesterday has some flavors like very specific flavors of the of stone fruits, like apricot and other things,
and
but also some
sorry,
also some tea notes. So it's I don't know. I would say the ferment I have now is in between a Riesling and a Viognier.
Okay, nice. So it has some fatness, but still refreshing. And
yes, or Chenin.
Is the acidity there? So it's still
yes. Yeah,
nice.
It's very high, and I don't know why people are. I mean, it's really hard to work, but I really don't know that, especially in Burgenland, ferment is not more common, because it is a warm region, and ferment perfectly fits here.
And why did you decide to plant ferment and not Riesling, maybe then?
Yeah, a good question. I don't know.
Tradition?
No, I just remember I saw a bottle of my grandfather from the 60s where on the label there was a Riesling on, but I don't think it was a Rhine Riesling, it was Welschriesling. It just used to call it a Riesling. Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting, but right now I have enough varieties, but maybe for future.
And how is your Welschriesling actually? So how could we maybe, I'm sure you had some Welschriesling from Hungary as well, for example, and also maybe from Slovenia, because it's also quite common there. So how could you maybe compare it, or how is your Welschriesling unique or different?
So the interesting thing was just a few years ago, I got this Welschriesling vineyard from another wine grower who quit, and it was it is a Welschriesling planted in the 80s, and it was double wine planted, and that's why I started to work with double wines again, because I was so fascinated about this vineyard. Yeah, the Welschriesling grows on slate soil directly at the border of Hungary. So the border is just a few meters away. And yeah, it's, I mean, Welschriesling is also late ripen variety, but for most of the Austrians, Welschriesling is one of the first harvested grapes, which is I don't know, weird. And yeah, it's all developing pretty slow, and I think the Welschriesling from this side shows much more fruit and much more herbal notes than a common Welschriesling you might know from Austria. It definitely have more flavors like spiciness and not only green apple and acidity. Yeah.
Wow, that would be interesting to taste, really, because I come from Lake Balaton, or I was born there, and there it's really the sacred variety, and all the bigger producers have their faith in it, in the variety. But in Austria, as you also referred to that, it has a very bad reputation, right? Welschriesling, and if you think about it, it's very neutral. It, like you said, it kind of higher acidity, kind of neutral aromas, and lower price point. So, and how do you work in a vineyard? Sorry, in the cellar.
So in the cellar, I have started with 500 liter barrels, also some old barriques, but now I completely changed to 600 liter or 1,200 liter barrels. In Germany, or also in German-speaking areas, it's always called Halbstück or Stück. So that's the old tradition of the barrel sizes. And I just use Austrian oak and also from Austrian cooperages. I'm serious about that. I don't want to use other things than oak. So I think for me, it's the only way to store my wines in, and the only way to age in, because it's a living thing, and it always was there. I mean, we were always working with oak barrels, and it's not about the flavor, the oak flavor. It's about the breathing, the oxygenation, the ripening I need from the oak. Those barrels have thicker skin, thicker wood, and that's why the developing is also slower. And the whole thing, the whole vinification is pretty easy. The wines are coming into oak. I mean, for example, the white wines, after pressing, they're going to the barrels, and that's where they're fermenting in the cellar, so quite cool temperatures. And then after fermentation, which takes really long in my cellar, I still have some barrels from 2019 still fermenting. And that's where they stay without moving, without touching.
Wow.
Sometimes I do a batonnage, but I taste the barrels a lot, and that's how I think about it. I mean, it's not that there's coming this day and then I have to sulfur it. That's not the way I'm acting. I'm always tasting it, and before I add sulfur, I do a batonnage, and if it's getting better, I don't use any sulfur. So right now, I can say that I don't use any ingredients, also no sulfur during the aging, and just before bottling or during the bottling, I add a little bit. Yes.
Well, pretty impressive and enticing, so to say. And also,
yeah. I'm sorry.
no worries. And you do the fermentation also in barrels, or sometimes you use stainless steel for the white?
No, all is fermented in barrels.
Wow, and also I would say all of them with native yeast, right?
Yes, all spontaneously.
Okay, because I'm actually a great fan of spontaneous fermentation, because I think that's a very defining factor of a wine, and that gives really the character and reflects the terroir. And so I'm actually amazed how many people just don't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about terroir and how is the soil was developed, I don't know, 64,000 years ago, and 6 meters deep, how is the soil composition, but they use commercial yeast.
Yes.
And then that's kind of, and then what do you think, or what are your experiences working with native yeast, or why did you decide on that?
I just want to have because I don't have direct cooling in the barrels. I have to have a slow fermentation, because when fermentation is with too much yeast, it will be pretty fast, and temperature will go up pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't add any yeast. Fermentation is taking very slow. It takes its time, but the temperature will not rise above immediately. And also the fine aromas are still there, and they're not going away. Because if you have a fermentation with a very high amount of yeast, then it could be that especially such fine aromas you can get from the vineyards are gone away. So,
And is it also your experience that if you leave your vines for a longer time on lease, it's also kind of a conservation technique, or then you don't have to add too much sulfur?
Yes, so that's the thing. I don't drag any wine. I keep the whole yeast and other particles in, just to have this natural antioxidant. And yeah, that's the one reason. And the other reason is the thicker wood, where the oxygenation isn't as fast as in a barrique, for example. Yeah, and I mean, I work naturally and without any addings. And I think if you work like this, you really have to care and taste a lot. So you have to be sure the barrels are always filled up. So I do a topping every 3 weeks. And I don't know, it's really important if you choose such vinification that you taste it. I'm not a big fan of the, let's say, this laissez-faire movement, where you just put the wine or the juice in, and then we will see how it develops. You have to care about it. I mean, it's you have even more work than in a conventional winemaking.
Yeah, exactly. And last two is to intervene, right? So you have to trust the wine somehow, and but also
yeah. And I mean, if a barrel starts to get too much oxidation, then you have to make something. For example, getting the yeast, the batonnage, and yeah, that's my way of thinking about vinification. Yeah.
Mm. And how are Austrian oaks differ, maybe? And where do these oak barrels come from? Yeah.
I use two different cooperages, which are from the same village. And we have up to 3 types of oak now, from Ipstal, from Mannhardsberg, also from Vienna, from the Wienerwald. And just a few years ago, we were also trying Neckenmarkt oak.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'm fascinated about it. It's a pretty good oak. We have our own forests, and just a few years ago we were cutting some 80-year-old oaks, and the really interesting thing is that those oaks are just close to the vineyard Bodigraben, so it's very regional.
Yeah,
very local.
So that's really, it's going to be the taste of terroir, I would say.
Yes, definitely.
Nice. And can you talk about this single vineyard a little bit? Because that's your only single vineyard wine?
Right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still complicated, and with colleagues, I talk a lot about it. It's still not able to have single vineyards on my white wines, because my white wines get not the quality certification, the Prüfnummer in Austria. That's why I'm not allowed to get the village on it, and also I'm not able to get the vineyard side on it.
And why is that?
Because I don't know. It's the same thing we were just talking shortly before. People have their thinking about grape variety. And if Grüne Veltliner from Burgenland doesn't taste like a Grüne Veltliner common in the other parts of Austria, they will not get a certification. And also the same thing with Welschriesling. And also a big problem is if it's slightly cloudy, you can be sure you will not get a certification. With the Blaufränkisch, it's different. I mean, for Blaufränkisch, I get the certification.
You have more freedom with red wines in general?
Yes, because people are used to have red wines from Burgenland, and that's why you get a certification easier than. But just a few weeks ago, I had a Blaufränkisch with no sulfur also in this tasting, and it was also declared not. So
not eligible.
Went out. Yes, not typical. So.
Okay, so how is your Bodigraben, or why is that different?
So the Bodigraben is the only vineyard with 100% Gneiss. It's Ortho-Gneiss, and I can. Here's the Gneiss, which is also used for example for to build streets and so on, you know. And Bodigraben is as I said before, 60% south side, 40% north side, and it's an old vineyard from the 80s. And the special thing about it is you get a very own style of spiciness in it. So Bodigraben often reminds me of some kind of Syrah from Northern Rhone, for example. So Blaufränkisch can be as spicy, especially peppery notes. And
and how is the vineyard work in Bodigraben? Yeah.
So all of the vineyards are organically produced, and it depends. So right now we have also some herbs which are working with the wines. So yeah, there's a good diversity in it, and
And can you maybe tell us a little bit more about this this method when you have two wines growing on one root or one main wine?
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. Instead of one wine, you have two wines, and I like this way because, as I said before, you get some kind of neutral competition, and it's a self-regulation system. The growing is lower, and that's why you have not that much fruits on it, and also the canopy isn't getting that high. That's why you don't have to cut it. And it's I also don't do a green harvest for such vineyards because it's not necessary. And you just have less nutrients because the nutrients you have in this soil are for two wines, and that's why they have to fight it. They have to fight for it, and also with the water system. So you get less water, and that's why the skin of such berries are much thicker. So you get a natural concentration on it.
And then your shoots are typically growing vertically then, right? Or
yes.
do you?
Yes.
No,
vertically.
Okay. But then you can, so just to summarize it, you have a less fruit, but more concentrated with, in general, thicker skin. And it's also, it's also can be applicable for every grape variety, or?
Yeah, you can do it on every variety. I mean, you have to be sure that the roots are strong enough. So sometimes it can happen that just one wine will develop and the other will fail. And then you have to replant that. But I don't know, I'm really happy about it, and especially I can work normally, so I can use a tractor on it, which is important. I mean, it's a romantic way of thinking that still using horses and so on, but I don't know, I have so much other work to do. That's why I'm happy to use a tractor.
You usually work alone in the vineyard? I mean, I'm sure you have some help, but in your family, I mean.
No, it depends. So I also have my helping people. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty hard, especially those days. I mean, you're not only a winemaker, you also have to be a manager, you also have to be a salesman, you also have to be
a podcast guest.
Yes. And it's a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. And I also wanted to ask you about Querschnitt, about your line, because I did some research on your website, and these are your two cuvées, right? So Querschnitt white and Querschnitt red. And what does that mean actually, Querschnitt, and where does the name come from? First of all.
So with the Querschnitt, I just want to show the many different soils we have. So Querschnitt just means all put together to get a nice slice of it. And Querschnitt, I use many different vineyards many different vineyards from many different sizes and also several varieties. So the white one now is mainly Grüne Veltliner, with some parts of Welschriesling, some parts of Muscat as well, some also hidden parts of Chardonnay. And it should just show how a basic white wine tastes from Burgenland. And it should be drinkable and easy and not too complicated, but also with a higher standard than a basic wine is in common. And also for the red one. The red one is mainly Rotburger or Zweigelt, also with some parts of Syrah and the field blend. And just a completely new interpretation of the Rotburger Kammer.
Okay. Rotburger is the other name for Zweigelt?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought that's another variety, because that's a Riesling Trollinger crossing, right?
No, Zweigelt is St. Laurent and Blaufränkisch.
Okay. Zweigelt, yes, but the Rotburger, then I remembered incorrectly.
There's Rotburger and there's also Blauburger.
Yeah, that's a Portuguese Blaufränkisch, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And how is Zweigelt act in the region, or because it's also more like on the cherry side of things and the elevated acidity? So how is it in Mittelburgenland?
I mean, Zweigelt is sometimes you can get as much tannin as from a Blaufränkisch. So Zweigelt definitely tastes different than the Zweigelt you know from other parts. And I mean, it's definitely not as fine as a Blaufränkisch, but it can be fun, and that's why I use it for the Querschnitt. Querschnitt should be fun and easy. You don't have to think too much about the wine, just enjoy it and drink it.
Okay, and how is your village wine, Neckenmarkt? Because
the Neckenmarkt. So for the Neckenmarkt, people always talk about Mittelburgenland, and they always say it's very heavy loam and clay soil. And also in Neckenmarkt, people are talking about loam and clay soil, where I'm thinking, but you can see it. There's slate, there's limestone, there's also gneiss. Why don't you talk about that? And that was the decision why I made this village wine, because in this village wine I have 3 different sites, and the 3 most pregnant, not pregnant, the most interesting sites, because I have a part from the gneiss, a part from the slate, and a part from the limestone in this Neckenmarkt. So I just want to show the main different soils. How is Neckenmarkt compared to others? And for the future, I will also vinify village wine from Riding, for example, which is also pretty interesting. It's a loam hill, loam valley with chalk in between. And I also want to vinify Horizon, where we also have vineyards, because Horizon is also very interesting. It's definitely the coolest site in Mittelburgenland, and it's a heavy clay soil with volcanic elements in it. So you also see basalts. You also find basalts there.
Okay, but it's not that black of a basalt than maybe on the northern shore of Lake Balaton. I was
no. So this basalt comes from the western part. It comes from the Pauliberg, which was a volcano just a few thousand years ago. And that's why the soil in Horizon and in the lower parts of Neckenmarkt is that heavy, because that was former time a big river. And this river transported a lot of volcanic stones from the Pauliberg through the whole region. And that's why, the soil is that heavy here.
Okay. So it was not originally a volcanic region, but volcanic rocks.
Stones were transported here. Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand.
And a lot. So, yeah.
Okay. And just some final questions, because I think I have an idea what is your definition of a great wine, or how do you work in the cellar. But maybe really what defines a great wine for you, and what are you looking for in a wine maybe?
I mean, I definitely want to show where it comes from, of course. So the meaning of the terroir. And I think the most important things in a wine, it shouldn't get boring in no way, of course. I think also on red or white, acidity is very important. I have approximately as much acidity in the white as in the red wines, and I don't know, it should develop very slow, and I think when a wine is young and is open too much, I'm not sure about the developing. So young wine should be in a way reductive. It shouldn't be on point. And I'm always searching for an origin. So a wine shouldn't, like my Blaufränkisch shouldn't taste like the Blaufränkisch from my neighbor. there's always the signature from the vineyard, of course, but your own personal signature should also come through the taste of a great wine.
You know, I'm starting to have this analogy, maybe similar to yours, that I think a great wine is similar to a woman who you fell in love with, because you usually don't fall in love with a supermodel who looks like the other ones and just lacking the character, but you fell in love with the character, right?
Yes.
And with her soul in a good sense. And I really, that's why I can't taste to taste your wines, because I think you have a similar idea of a great wine as me, and I can't wait to taste try yours. And maybe then, what are you drinking in your free time?
From all over. So I just ordered a lot of Burgundian wines. I like let's say the newer styles, or the new old styles. I like Rouleau a lot.
Okay.
But a lot of Blaufränkisch from other colleagues. And I don't know. A wine should always have character. It shouldn't get I don't know. It should also show the vintage. I mean, I think it's so interesting. It's so creative to work out the vintages from year to year. So a year shouldn't, or a wine shouldn't taste the same other year. And yeah, I mean, right now I also drink a lot of Hungarian wine. I really like the dry ferments from all over. I hope they will develop more and more, and I hope they will also try some things with Welschriesling and other varieties, old varieties. And there's one thing from Hungary which I'm still missing. I miss very distinctive Blaufränkisch, Blaufränkisch. I'm still searching for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
To be honest. But to be honest, I don't know if you know this wine region in Hungary, Matra. And that's kind of in the northern part, the northeastern part, higher up. And they have very good Pinot Noir, and some producers, I think, also have a lot of Cake Francois. And so that's west from Eger, west of Eger or west of Tokaj. And they are higher up, volcanic soil, and so not so marmaladic, or not so warm, not too overripe than in the south, for example, Veltliner or so. And I think that's I can't wait to go back to Hungary and buy some of the wines, because I think they have great potential. And maybe just some last question: what are your biggest plan for the future with your wines, and where do you want to bring this whole idea of Kolfok?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't think I will experiment that much. Yeah, I just planted the ferment. We were talking about the Rheinriesling, but let's say that will not happen. So I don't know. I think I know what I want now, and I will carry on like this. So right now pretty all over the world now with my wines. I also have, I'm sending my wines right now to many places, and hopefully I will get more interested people who taste it. And that's the thing.
It sounds like you found your way. You just want to stay on it.
Yes, I mean, I just bottled some parts of the 2019 of the white ones yesterday, and I don't know. Yesterday we tasted it together with my employees, and I was very proud about it. So that was really the way I wanted to. I want to make wines, and some great stuff were bottled yesterday.
It's good to hear that. So, Stefan, in this way, I want to thank you for your time, and I can't wait to shake your hands and raise the glasses together.
Yes,
with some
you're
Kolfok
very
Wines.
welcome.
Thank you very much, and really all the best and all the strengths.
Thank you. Now I have to go back and do the last pressings.
Please.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Stefan.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.